Picture this. You walk into a dealership ready to buy your first electric vehicle, but the price has suddenly jumped by 100%. Across the country, farmers in Saskatchewan are watching billions of dollars vanish as exports dry up. And in Beijing, officials are plotting their next counterstrike in a trade war that's reshaping industries and livelihoods on both sides of the Pacific. How did we get here, and what does it mean for you, your wallet, and the global economy? Canada's decision to impose 100% tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, or EVs, was a seismic move aimed at curbing what it called unfair subsidies that allowed Beijing to dominate global markets. Chinese EV exports surged 89% in 2024, flooding countries like Canada with cheaper alternatives. Ottawa claimed this threatened local industries and justified the tariffs as a way to protect domestic manufacturing. But here's where the plot thickens. Chinese EVs already made up 12% of the Canadian market, offering affordable options for middle-income families. By effectively doubling the cost of these vehicles, the tariffs risk pricing many Canadians out of the green transition. According to Clean Energy Canada, the average EV price in Canada is already 20% higher than in the US, and these tariffs could widen that gap further. China struck back hard, targeting one of Canada's most valuable exports, canola. Beijing cited quality concerns to justify restricting imports, but most analysts see this as a calculated economic retaliation. Dr. Sarah Tabor, an agricultural economist, told the Financial Times, "Canola isn't just an export. It's a lifeline for Canadian farmers. China knows this and is using it as leverage. The fallout has been devastating." The Canadian Canola Growers Association estimates annual losses of up to $2.5 billion, with farmers scrambling to find new markets. While some have pivoted to Japan and the EU, these buyers don't offer the same lucrative premiums that China once paid. "It's like losing your biggest customer overnight," says Samantha Grady, a third-generation farmer from Saskatchewan. "Every day we watch the crops sit unsold while our debts pile up. It's not just struggling, it's sinking." Please like and subscribe. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us grow. Thank you. For Canada, transitioning to green energy isn't optional, it's essential. By 2035, the country aims for 100% zero-emission vehicle sales. But these tariffs could throw a wrench in that plan. With EV costs rising, many Canadians are likely to delay purchases, sticking with gas-powered vehicles longer. This could undermine Canada's ambitious net zero goals, all while slowing adoption rates that are already lagging behind global leaders. This policy might protect some manufacturers, but it risks putting sustainability out of reach for the average Canadian, warns Mark Zacharias, Executive Director of Clean Energy Canada. What would you prioritize? Protecting local jobs or making EVs affordable for everyone? Let us know in the comments below. It's not just EVs and canola at stake. Canada has also targeted Chinese steel and aluminum with anti-dumping duties, aiming to protect its domestic industries. But these measures have created ripple effects. 35% of Canada's steel imports came from China. With tariffs now driving up costs, industries from construction to manufacturing are feeling the pinch. As Dennis Darby, CEO of the Canadian Manufacturers and Exporters Association, explains, "Every dollar added to raw materials increases the cost of consumer goods, construction projects, and even green energy infrastructure." The real toll of this trade war is felt on the ground, by farmers like Samantha Grady, whose income has plummeted since the canola restrictions began. With canola prices dropping 15%, many farmers are now operating at a loss. Grady's story is echoed by thousands across Canada. "We've always known farming is unpredictable, but this isn't weather, it's politics. And it's tearing apart rural communities," she told CBC News. Trade wars aren't just geopolitical, they're personal. Rising tariffs on EVs, steel, and agricultural products are trickling down to the average Canadian household. RBC Capital Markets estimates that the ongoing trade war could add an extra $1,200 annually to the average Canadian family's expenses. Groceries, cars, and household goods are all becoming more expensive, leaving families to shoulder the burden. Have you noticed higher prices at the grocery store or dealership? Share your experience in the comments. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has framed his policies as a defense of Canadian values and industries. Canada will not be bullied economically, he stated during a press conference. But critics say his stance could be a double-edged sword. Dr. Wenran Jiang, a political economist, writes in the Globe and Mail, Trudeau's approach risks long-term economic damage without securing meaningful concessions from Beijing. The gamble is clear. Trudeau is betting that standing firm will force China to the negotiating table. But if the strategy fails, Canada could find itself economically isolated with dwindling leverage. The roots of today's trade war trace back to 2018 when Canada detained Huawei CFO Meng Wanzhou. China retaliated by arresting 2 Canadians, sparking a diplomatic freeze. Although Meng was released in 2021, the scars remain. The New York Times described the incident as the moment Canada-China relations shifted from economic partnership to strategic rivalry. This backdrop continues to inform the tit-for-tat dynamics we see today. Canada sends 10% of its exports to China, making it the country's second-largest trading partner, but this dependence has created vulnerabilities. When tensions flare, industries from agriculture to mining face immediate risks. Gordon Holden, director of the China Institute at the University of Alberta, explains, economic reliance on a single, unpredictable partner is a strategic liability. Diversification is no longer an option. It's a necessity. The challenge? Decoupling from China won't be easy, especially in sectors like rare earth minerals, where Beijing controls 70% of global processing. This trade war isn't just a bilateral issue. It's rippling across global markets. Rising food prices, disrupted EV supply chains, and strained alliances are just the start. The World Bank estimates that prolonged trade conflicts between major economies could shave 0.5% off global GDP annually. For smaller nations reliant on exports from Canada or China, the stakes are even higher. As tensions rise, Canada is deepening ties with countries like Japan, South Korea, and the EU, while China strengthens partnerships within BRICS. According to Dr. Deborah Elms of the Asian Trade Center, this conflict could accelerate a realignment of global trade, where nations look for more predictable partners. The question is who will benefit from this shift. So, where do we go from here? Experts predict more posturing, but a prolonged standoff hurts both sides. Dan Churiak, senior fellow at the Center for International Governance Innovation, suggests there's room for negotiation, but it requires both parties to prioritize economic pragmatism over politics. Do you think Canada and China will find common ground, or is this the start of a permanent decoupling? This isn't just a trade war. It's a battle over economic independence, sustainability, and global influence. But the story is far from over. We're glad you're enjoying this video. Please like and subscribe. Check out another video that is now on your screen.